Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, sorry about the weird angle for this video. I unfortunately cannot have it set up to where I'm fully on screen. I'm actually having to put this at a little bit of an angle for me to be on it right now. But, after a vote on Twitter of who I should do this on first, I'm going to be doing an off-season preview type situation for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'm going to preface this in the beginning of every video. I'm not saying this is what they should do. I'm saying this is what I would do if I was in charge of their particular team. Now, I have on my tablet right here, it's sleeping right now, but I have the free agency list for the Jacksonville Jaguars already pulled up, so we can go through those when I get to those. But basically what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to be going through all 32 NFL teams, and I will be basically saying what I want to see happen, or if I was in charge, what I would do. So I'm going to preface that at the beginning of every episode because I know it's not going to be remembered every time. Maybe people only watch for their team specifically. But there's that disclaimer. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start with some trades I would like to do. So Jacksonville is a team that has had the first round pick, number 1 overall, for 2 straight years, right? They got Trevor Lawrence last year. Who knows who they get this year? Now, if I were them, I would trade that first round pick because that number 1 selection is very, very valuable. A team I would trade it to is anybody that has multiple first rounds that you can potentially get. I think the Giants might have 2. The Jets have 2. Philadelphia has 2. Out of those, I would probably go with the Giants. But not for that trade. There's another trade I have coming up that will be for the Giants. But I would trade into any of those teams for like 2 firsts and a second. A first this, a first next, and a second. You know, pick up at least 2 extra picks with it, no matter where they are in the draft. Unless they're like, if they don't give you 2 picks that are higher than the 4th round, I wouldn't do it, along with obviously the whatever 1 pick they're wanting to trade up from. Now, the second trade option I would do would be Myles Garrett. Or not Myles Garrett, sorry, wrong team. Myles Jack. Now, that will probably be the most controversial thing I say on this particular video. But I do believe that that is their best option to get a lot of value. Because you think of that team and you think, Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen, a little bit younger, I think, than Myles Jack. Trevor Lawrence isn't going to be traded. The running backs aren't going to be traded. I doubt the wide receivers are going to be traded. And their run lineman that's half decent, or their best lineman, is probably not going to be worth trading. Now, with Myles Jack, that's who I think they should send to the Giants for Blake Martinez in their 2 first rounds, or 1 first round and a second, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, whatever the case may be. Because that's more picks for you to use to fill other holes on the roster, and though you don't get someone to replace Myles Jack, you get someone at least, in my opinion, a little bit competent enough to run that middle linebacker spot if you don't sign one in free agency or draft one. But that being said, let's move on to the free agents for Jacksonville specifically, and I'm going to tell you who I think they should re-sign, who I think they should cut, and if I don't have an opinion, I'll just skip. Cam Robinson, left tackle, I would re-sign him and Norwell, who's next on the list, because they're probably your 2 best linemen right now. And you need to at least keep the ones that you know that are good. AJ Cann, another guard. You could sign him if you really wanted to, but you can also replace him pretty easily. Tavon Bryant. I believe he was at least decent for them this year, so if he takes a small offer, I would go for it. Gehard Ward. I have no idea who that is. So I'm going to skip him because I don't have an opinion on him. Trey Herndon, cornerback. I believe he's actually on the Panthers now, though I could be mistaking him for another player. If he is still on this roster, though, I would say go ahead and re-sign him. I think he probably played decent enough to where he can probably at least be their 3rd down guy or third slot guy if need be. Damian Wilson, outside linebacker. I believe he was a Chief at one point. Linebackers are a little bit hard to come by, and since I did mention potentially trading Miles Jack, you don't want to get rid of two. So if they trade Miles Jack, keep him. If they keep Miles Jack, get rid of him. Tyler Shatley, he's the current center. Now, I've never heard his name, so I'm just going to assume he's not that good. With that being said, James O'Shaughnessy, that's a name I think I heard he did some things this season. I remember his name being brought up a couple of times in highlights. So I would keep him, specifically because like tight ends are a dime a dozen, and you don't want to spend more than you're already spending. Nevin Lawson, probably depth corner, 1 year, like $700K, whatever. Resign him. Adam Gotsit, same thing there. DJ Shark, you'd want to keep him for sure. Resign him. Tavon Austin, it depends on what you want to do with him. He's one of those guys that I think can play halfback or wide receiver. So I would keep him if you want to have a little bit of a versatile player. But if you don't, then go ahead and get rid of him. Loretti Mcrae, another DN. Don't know him, so don't worry about. I'm not going to give an opinion on him. Jacob Hollister, same thing as with O'Shaughnessy. Go ahead and keep both your tight ends. If you end up getting a new one, then cool. Those guys can be backups, good at blocking, whatever. Laquan Treadwell, I believe he's never had that good of a career, but if he's like going to be like their special teamer or something, resign him. If not, get rid of him. Tyrell Adams, never heard of him, so not going to comment on that. Will Richardson, a tackle. You can probably replace a tackle pretty easy in free agency this year, so I would say get rid of him, unless you don't have a target in free agency for that, in which case keep him. Chappelle Russell, don't know him. Dare Ogunbowale, don't know him. Terry Godwin, don't know him. Andrew Wingard, don't know him. And Dakota Allen, don't know him. So I'm not going to give any input on those guys. Now, in terms of the rest of these positions, what I would do is, honestly, for the ones I don't know of, I would have to go through tape if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars and go ahead and figure it out from there. But I listed the guys I think you should trade or cut or keep or cut. And obviously, I have ones in there that just depends. But the last thing I want to talk about in this video is who they should pick up in free agency. Now, this is going to be quite an interesting offseason for them if they do the moves I've already described, because they'd keep a few key guys on the roster. They get rid of one, get more draft capital, get someone who's at least solid. If I was them, I would start with signing the 2 tackles you need and a center. Solidify that O-line. Make sure Trevor Lawrence doesn't get fucking killed by week 2 next season, Now, in terms of who they should get with that, I don't know. There might be plenty of options. There might be very scarce options that will actually be an improvement for them. But just get a middle of the road for each one, because I feel like all their linemen, besides the 2 I mentioned, are absolute garbage. So any replacement would probably be better than what they have. I think if you do that, then that almost solidifies your offense. I'd try for one wide receiver in free agency, rather it be Chris Godwin, probably going to be Chris Godwin, or Devontae Adams if he ends up leaving Green Bay, or maybe somebody else who's more of a mid-tier player that can, split the load with DJ Shark a little bit. Defensively is where this gets interesting. You trade away Miles Jack. Let's just say they do that for sure. You need to replace middle linebacker. There might be a lot of options at middle linebacker. I'd say go with whoever the 3rd or 4th guy down the list is in terms of quality, age, all that, and sign him. Because everyone's going to be after the first 3 for sure, and there might be some interest in 4 through 7, but those first 3 are going to get a lot of interest, and those other guys might just take the first opportunity they get offered. Outside linebacker, same situation there, honestly. Though I would have them attack corner and safety, as well as maybe wide receiver and tight end in the draft, and put the rest of their resources into the front 7, because pass rush is super important. Now, let me preface this. This is not for them to go to the Super Bowl or to the playoffs or any of that malarkey. This is specifically so they can compete in football games from start to finish. Maybe win a couple more than last season. Hell, maybe they do get a playoff berth. Who knows? But this is what I would do if I was running the team to specifically to improve and maybe take steps towards that playoff berth if possible. Now with the draft, I don't know a lot of names, but I mentioned what they should go after. But if I were to say round wise, I'd say later rounds go for the secondary maybe, or the line if you don't end up signing people in free agency. I'd say the first 4 rounds you attack the front 7. That's what I would do personally if I was drafting. I'd attack the front 7 for the first 4 rounds. Maybe if you have extra picks in those rounds, go for corner and safety. And then for 5 through 7, I'd go for linemen on the offensive side and potentially a tight end because those might end up doing well. Who knows? But you'd want to solidify your pass rush and your offensive line during your offseason. So that's all I have to say about Jacksonville. The next team I'll probably do is the Texans because I want us to do division by division. So it would either be the Texans or the Colts because I feel like they have the most things they might need to fix coming up. But thank you guys for watching. Leave comments down below what you think Jacksonville should do during the offseason if you were running the team, as well as tell me what you thought about the moves I decided that we should make. With that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.